Hello and welcome to this week's Cat's Whiskers podcast. We're going to be looking back on a fantastic Belfast weekend for the Nottingham Panthers with 2 victories at the Odyssey Arena. We'll also be discussing Charles Landry's ban and also the incident between Kevin Westgarth and Craig Kowalski. We'll be looking at the title race in a bit more detail and also looking ahead to Panthers' huge games coming up at the weekend, which will have big impacts on the title against the Sheffield Steelers and also the Cardiff Devils on Sunday. We'll be answering some of your Ask CWTV questions, and finally we'll finish off by looking back at the GB squad, which was announced after our podcast last week. But first, I'm delighted to welcome to the podcast, as always, Mr. Andy Haywood.
Good evening.
And also fresh from a sellout gig at the Odyssey Arena on Saturday and Sunday, it's Mr. Aaron Lord.
Good evening.
Good evening. Great appearance on both webcasts at the weekend, mate, I must say.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be on there, and thank you to Giants Live TV for asking me to be on there in the first place and actually turning the camera on. Yeah, it was good actually. Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, just reinforcing your friends of the stars sort of persona that you seem to have these days, mate.
Got to keep it up, Jono.
Indeed. Moving on from that, we will look back at the weekend. So you obviously was over in Belfast, Aaron, and I think we'll start with Saturday's game. That was quite a close one.
It was quite a close one, but it was close. But then we were also 12 seconds away from getting a regulation win. So I thought, well, the atmosphere was fantastic on Saturday night. Obviously, it was pretty much a sellout, I believe. The Belfast fans were making a lot of noise. There were 400 plus Panthers fans in there making.
Just to interrupt you a second, was it right that it was the biggest crowd in Belfast in 12 years?
I believe so, yeah. As well, speaking to some of the Giants and organisation and stuff, they were extremely pleased with the sellout crowd, and yeah, I believe it was their highest attendance, I think, since they've been in the Elite League. So very, very well done to them, and the Panthers fans played their part as well, because, like I said, 400 plus made the trip over. A very good game of hockey, and yeah, it was close, but like I say, we were 12 seconds or however many seconds away from getting the regulation win, and I thought we played very well. I thought the goals that we scored were very good goals, and look, with the incidents that happened that night, which we'll talk about in a little bit, we were very, very close to picking up the 2 points in regulation, but I thought we played very well as a team, and when it goes to OT and a shootout, it is kind of anybody's game. But I thought we were fully justified getting the extra point, actually. So I was very, very pleased.
Andy, you've seen the highlights of this game. Obviously, Belfast taking the lead through Peacock on the power play early in the second period, and then a fantastic short-handed goal from Guillaume Doucet. One of the things that I sort of found quite interesting on the highlights is where he seemed to fall over with the puck by the boards. The crowd cheered and nobody went near him, and he just got up, danced his way through and scored the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was the definition of just pure graft. He battled for the puck. He gets hold of a loose puck, falls over, gets up completely unchallenged, has time to cycle the puck back down low before cutting back across the front of the net and somehow managing to squeeze it past Schuback. But it was a real hard-working grafter's goal, and obviously short-handed as well, which made it even sweeter for us.
And of course, Jonathan Boxhill getting the go-ahead goal just a few seconds later, so 33 seconds later, I think it was. A great tip in from Schmidt's shot from the point.
I think you'll find it was actually Max Perron's.
I'm sorry, Aaron. I know he's a particular hero of yours. I know. So well, yes, I apologise for
I just like to applaud, the correct people. That's all. But just going back to Doucet's short-handed goal, totally agree with what Andy's just said there. Graft, determination, just pure grit. Did it before, like a phase before that play, and then slips over, like you say. But you talk about no Giants going towards him. I think it's actually Compon that is the closest Giant to him, and he kind of looks to the rest of the Giants and puts his hand out as to say, that's where he is. Or he's your man. I'm moving to my zonal, if you want to call it, or where my position on the power play, on the penalty kill. Sorry, but he's so close to Doucet that just go and challenge him. He's near the boards. At least that could prevent Doucet from doing what he did and just skate it in, like you said, really unchallenged and put it past Schubach. And then to get the goal, from Boxy, the tip in, just really turned the tide. And I think you hear it on the commentary, and I think it's Coach or Kitchie say, from being 1-0 up, the Giants are now 2-1 down in the space of a couple of minutes. And I think that was just took the wind out of the sails of the Giants. And from a Panthers point of view, I think I was actually up in the media box at the time because I was ready to go on to do the webcast, and I was the only Panthers fan up there. I gave a little yes, come on, and the place was just silent. You could just tell that it totally took the wind out of the sails.
And then they offered the free pizza and it livened up again. Andy, Sawada scoring the equalisers at 21 seconds from the end of regulation time. We've seen it plenty of times with both the Panthers and also other teams where something like that happens and it just completely drags all momentum away from you. So I suppose you have to give an awful lot of credit to the Nottingham Panthers for carrying on through overtime, especially when at this point Dan Green was in goal as backup, and then going on to win on penalty shots.
Yeah, absolutely. The highlights don't really show a great deal of anything during overtime, so obviously I'm not entirely sure. For all I know, they could have been camped in our zone and peppering Greener. But you've got to give the credit to Panthers and the mental, the mental steel to concede so late on and still have it in them to get the win. But let's face it, when it comes to penalty shots, it is really anyone's game. But by the same token, if you look at the lineup in net, you would certainly favour Belfast in that department. Having said that, we've been on the wrong end of the same scenario in the Challenge Cup semi-final, and you know what? Like I say, it's anyone's game. Greener made 3 fantastic stops. The first one on, I think it was Robinson, especially the poke check
It was
superb.
Incredible save.
And it shows that he's got the confidence to do things like that. How many times would you just expect the goalie in that situation, a goalie who gets very limited ice time? He's the backup and he's backup for a reason and stuff like that. But how many goalies would just stand there and wait for the shot? Granted, Robinson had trained with Panthers and with Greener for quite some time while he was with us. So there's a fair chance that he knows a couple of moves and stuff like that. But by the same token, Robinson will know Dan Green's traits as well. So I think it was a really smart move to pull the poke check because I don't think anybody expected it.
The goal by Chris Higgins as well, the penalty shot where he just waits, and then waits for Carson Schubach to make the move down, and then just puts it straight in the top of the net. Aaron, that was a pretty special penalty shot.
Oh, just beautiful. And to be honest, we've not had the best of looks in penalty shots this season. We've not seen many beauties, but I mean that was just right up there. And to see it from Chris Higgins as well, just added sort of the cherry on the top of the icing, really, because former Giant Lee or booing pantomime boos like coach says on the webcast. Just fantastic, and just composure. And the best bit about that goal was, for me, his celebration. Just puts his hands up to the Panthers fans and just skates away. Beautiful. And, credit to Dan Green as well. And what I'd love to see, looking back on the highlights as well, is after saving the final shot from Chevrolet, just that little, shake of the fist as if to say, you beauty, get in there. Because, like Andy says, doesn't get a lot of ice time. In the overtime, there wasn't really, you'd say there wasn't many clear-cut chances, really. You could possibly say the Sawada chance, which eventually Landry gets banned for, because that's quite, he's coming in with a bit of pace, and it's kind of like on the swivel on the turnaround. But he wasn't really tested fully in that, and neither was Schubach really. So it was a pretty even overtime period. But fantastic penalty shot from Chris Higgins, really top notch. Wait and make the netminder make the first move. And then Dan Green backed it up superbly on the other net, to be honest. It was just fantastic. And like I said, I think we were fully justified that second point, really. I thought we were the better team.
You mentioned there, very briefly, the check that Landry made on Sawada, and that saw him get a 2-game ban from the Department of Player Safety. Now, they also said that there would be a video coming out with an explanation, but I don't believe has come out yet. But the upshot is that Landry has got a 2-game ban, the first one of which was Sunday, and of course he will also be banned for the game against Sheffield on Friday. Having watched it on the highlights, the actual incident, I have to say, yeah, okay, fair enough. I can't really argue with the fact that it's a check to the head and it's a 2-game ban. Fine. Where's the consistency? Because we've had Steve Lee out for 20 games after the check against Coventry by Amara. And then also Jorgensen's check on Cody Wilde put him out for 16 games. No ban there. Robert Dowd's check to the head on Sam Oakford that saw him out for a while. No ban there. Yeah, something like that, where they said that he was injured and then plays the next night. Landry gets a 2-game ban. Now, personally, I have nothing against the ban itself. It was a check to the head, fair enough. What I have got a problem with is the consistency now being shown by the Department of Player Safety.
Yeah, I'll start on this one just quickly. The only thing that I really have a minor issue is that, to me, Sawada has his head down a little bit. He doesn't have his head up, looking like you should do in an ice hockey as an ice hockey player, shouldn't you? They always tell you, first rule, keep your head up, because these kind of things happen. And the other thing that kind of annoyed me was it got announced an hour before face-off. That's just... And my understanding is that the club didn't really know much before that time. Now, really, come on. I mean, it's just not right. And let's be honest, Dop started off with the right intentions, but over the last, few weeks and the incidents that have happened, well, you want to say post-Christmas to a certain degree, they've just really fallen away and given themselves the opportunity to be mocked to a certain degree, which is very disappointing.
Andy, your take on that?
I completely agree with everything really that's been said. It's worthy of a ban. Is it worthy of the same amount of games as throwing a water bottle on the ice? Probably not. Is it worthy of 1 game more than kicking somebody in the knee? No. And it's not so much the fact that Landry's been banned. I agree with it. It was a high hit. It was reckless. I can understand why he went for it. It was just mistimed, misplaced, that type of thing. But you've just got to look at everything else that's been given out with DOPS, and you just left scratching your head.
Moving on to another incident that took place in that game, Kevin Westgarth losing an edge, going straight into Craig Kowalski, who was playing the puck behind his net. Kowalski has a broken collarbone and will take no further part in the rest of this season. Aaron, as you was there at the time, what was your take on the incident actually at the time before you had a chance to look at it again on the highlights?
I thought it was very, very nasty. I thought it was deliberate, and I was quite irate, to be honest. Because
I got that impression with some of the text I was that was going back and forth between us on Saturday night.
Yeah, I just, obviously for me, netminders are a no-no. You know, but then I'm not saying that they've got this ring around them that you just can't touch them. But like I said on the webcast to Paddy, it's kind of the level of contact that you have with a netminder. Obviously, K-Wall is renowned for coming out and playing the puck. But my issue that I had with it, even when I looked back on it, was I still think Kevin Westgarth is going in there at a rate that he's not just going to pull away from K-Wall there. He would have made some sort of contact with him. Yes, it's kind of clear that he does lose an edge, but I still think that he was going to go in there and make some sort of contact with Craig Kowalski. And at the time, it was very disappointing not to see any teammates stand up for K-Wall. Speaking to the people around me, we were all kind of waiting for somebody to go in there and say, look, that ain't on, mate. Accidental or non-accidental, you've just clobbered our netminder. And look, I know it's Kevin Westgarth, NHL fighter, etc., enforcer. I don't care. I don't care if you're 4 foot tall or 7 foot tall. You go and challenge. You go and stand up for your teammate. So that was a little bit disappointing on the night. But yeah, I was pretty fuming at the actual incident when you saw Westgarth just totally clean K-Wall out, and the fact that K-Wall stayed down for quite a while as well was quite concerning. So we didn't know really what the injury was, what had happened. There was people were discussing maybe concussed against the boards, or you just really couldn't see. But yeah, it was a worrying time, and it was an angry time to a certain degree.
Andy, you've obviously seen the incident on the highlights as well as I have. I think it's pretty clear that Westgarth loses an edge and he goes into Kowalski. But I think, like Aaron, I was pretty disappointed that no one went in and challenged him. And I think Kowalski was quite angry about that from looking at his reaction as he went off the ice. Yeah,
I mean, we don't know quite why he reacted like that. Whether it could have been one of the numerous things. It could be the fact that he felt he'd been taken out deliberately. It could have been the fact that nobody stuck up for him. It could be the fact that he's quite clearly knows he's injured and his season could be potentially over. It could be that he thought the refs didn't handle it very well. But I subscribe to that opinion as well. Whilst I appreciate that in a 2-1 game with not a great deal of time left in it, the result is more important than retribution. But by the same token, the fact that nobody even skates anywhere near him, seemingly, no one even speaks to him, that just seems a little bad. For me, I don't like to see that when a guy's quite clearly hurt from a play that, like Aaron says, it seemingly is an accident, but by the same token, a player is hurt from a result of an act by the opposition. The fact that no one stuck up for him is a little sad for me.
Okay. Just to finish off on Saturday's game, Kowalski, it's a big blow for us because he's been playing absolutely outstandingly since he came back from his groin injury a couple of months ago. So it's a big blow for the Panthers, that, isn't it, Aaron?
Massive. K-Wall has been the best netminder this league has had in the the last 5 years. He's won us trophies, championships. He, like you said as well, after coming back from his groin injury, he seemed to be, at the top of his game as well. But look, there'll be no other person more disappointed than Craig Kowalski himself. It's just very, very sad, and it's But look, we're very lucky that we have Modic waiting in the wings, and it's now an opportunity for him to come in and win us a championship, win us a trophy, and he can play a major role in that. But regarding K-Wall, it's just very sad.
Okay, moving on to Sunday night's game, which ended up being a 5-1 victory for the Panthers in the second game of the weekend. Guillaume Doucet opening the scoring on the power play before Belfast equalised less than a minute later through Craig Peacock. In the third period, Panthers really putting the foot down. Guillaume Doucet scoring another 2 goals, both short-handed, to make 3 short-handed goals and 4 for the weekend. Greg Jusina scoring on the power play, and then Cody Wild rounding off the scoring with 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining. Andy, I'll come to you first. It was a very, very good performance by the Panthers against what looked, admittedly, a poor Belfast side on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. We again, I've only seen my highlights, so I've only seen sort of bits and bobs from the game, but it certainly came across as a dominant display by Panthers and a poor display by Belfast. It was made more evident by the commentators during my highlights as they got into the third period and towards the end. You could hear the dejection in the voices over the home display. You mentioned the goals, and there was some really good goals thrown in there. I mean, the first goal that Doucet scores is just thrown on the net and he tips it in. I thought Peacock's goal was really good. It was a really nice pass by Sandrock. Peacock had a couple of attempts at it, but managed to get it in. But the pass was brilliant. But again, Doucet, just speed and his quick release is his real asset. Obviously, his determination and his graft are also up there, but the reason he scores goals is because of his quick release. He doesn't give the goalie any time to set before he's fired the puck. And we talked before the podcast about Cody Wild's goal and how he just seemed to have so much time and space to just skate through the slot, which you would think is a real focal point for defence. He gets the pass from Lawrence on the blue line, just waltzes straight into the top of the crease and picks his spot. And the game was already over by then, admittedly, but yeah, very good performance by Panthers. Obviously, it will stand in good stead for our upcoming games and the run into the playoffs, hopefully.
Aaron, Guillaume Doucet, as we said, four goals over the weekend. That's 16 goals now since he joined the Panthers in January. He has been nothing short of incredible signing for us. One of the first people you would hope to get back for next season?
100%. You can look back and think, Jesus, if we had him from the start of the season, where maybe we'd be going into this weekend very differently. Even potentially maybe already sewn up the championship. Who knows? But I agree with what Andy just said there about the fact that his release is so quick. It's like, even on a wrist shot, he doesn't have any, there's no backlift obviously, but it's just it's like a snap. It's so quick that before you know it, the puck's in the back of the net, and that guy in this league will score goals for fun. And 2 short-handed goals over the weekend is just
3 over the weekend.
3, sorry, and 2, sorry, on Sunday night, and then 1 on Saturday, sorry, is just unbelievable. I mean, if we want to win trophies, then Guy Doucet is the type of player that we need on our roster, and I hope that is something that we will be looking to secure sooner rather than later.
Andy, the Panthers are the leaders now in short-handed goals scored, and I suppose it's easy to see why when you look at the speed that's on that penalty kill unit. You've got Doucet, you've got the likes of Mosey, Jonathan Boxall's very quick, Lakovic is quite a quick skater. I suppose they only really need that chance to get past the point men, and you know they're going to have a real good chance of scoring a goal.
Yeah, absolutely. For some strange reason, I don't quite know why, and I don't have any statistical figures to back this up. But for me, it always seems that during the game, on a breakaway, you would always back the scorer to score. However, on a penalty shot, I always think it's a goalless game. And I presume that a lot of that is down to the fact that the goalies actually have a lot more time to set and they know what's going on. Whereas a breakaway happens so quickly that they don't really have time to set. Obviously, the skater themselves doesn't really have time to think about what they're going to do. They just go on instinct. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, the past few years, I'm pretty certain if we haven't been top of the short-handed goals, we've been very near the top. And you know, it's the way Corey plays. It's the systems that he plays during the penalty kill. You look at the people that we've had in the past, like your Matt Francis's as well in that list, and your Benedicts and players like that. You know, they defend so solidly and so aggressively, but they also have such great speed that there will always be those chances. And you know, and look at the guys, you know, especially Doucet, who's been highlighted this weekend. You know, we've got a guy with great pace and great determination and grit and graft on the penalty kill, but he's also an incredible goal scorer. And to bundle that all together, even though you've got a man off the ice and you're numerically disadvantaged, you know, you're always going to get a chance during a game. And obviously, if it falls to a player like Doucet, you've got to fancy your chances at scoring.
Moving on, we're going to look at the title race. So it's moving into a very exciting last weekend where the title race couldn't really be any closer, Aaron.
No, I mean, you know, to go into the final weekend not knowing who is going to win or where the league title is going to end up, then it's just so close, isn't it? And so exciting, I imagine, and nerve-wracking at the same time for the fans of the three teams that could possibly lift it. So, yeah, I think it's really good for the league. It's good for me. If I was a fan of one of those three teams, then I'd be loving it to a certain degree. But I love the tension. I love the not knowing what's going to happen. Yeah, it's all right saying no, we'd love to have it in the bag and stuff. But whoever wins the league title this year, they're going to be so on a big buzz, aren't they? Winning it in the last weekend, it doesn't really get much better than that. And, you know, it's anybody's guess as to where it's going to end up.
Well, we'll have a quick look at the league table as it stands. As we're recording this, Cardiff are playing Edinburgh and they are currently leading 5-2 in the second period. So if we assume that Cardiff are going to win that game, that will put them into second place. So top, Sheffield, 50 games played, 70 points. But the important stat as well is 29 regulation wins. Braehead second, 50 games played, 69 points. Cardiff, who will play 50 games after tonight, they will also be on 70 points, same as Sheffield, and they will have 28 regulation wins, assuming they hold on and win in regulation tonight. So, again, couldn't be closer. And then when you consider that Sheffield play Cardiff again at the Motorpoint Arena on Saturday, which will be live on Premier Sports, you know, that is a massive, massive game, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think realistically, you've got to think that Braehead are going to get 4 points this weekend. I think they play Hull on the Saturday at home and then Fife away on the Sunday.
They do, but would you have thought they would have got 4 points against Edinburgh last weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I would have done, but I just think it's the crucial stage now. And I think I can't see them not getting 4 points this weekend. So again, assuming, and it seems to be a fair assumption, that Cardiff win tonight, it's going to be so close, because I think Braid will end up with 73 points, and it will be who can get 74 basically out of Sheffield and Cardiff, and like you say, Jono, the size of the game at the arena on Friday couldn't be much bigger. I mean, obviously, if we were the other team in the title race, it'd be a bit bigger, admittedly. But for this season, it couldn't get much bigger.
We can win the conference from it.
Yeah. I mean, we need a point, I believe, to seal the conference up and get the supposedly easier tie in the Perth quarter final. So obviously we'll be looking to do that. Obviously we've had a good weekend. We've got a bit of momentum going. We've won 5 on the trot now, I think. We've got a bit of momentum going into the Perth quarterfinals, and we want to try and keep it. Added to the fact that we have a very nice and unique chance of scuppering Sheffield's chances of winning the league. A bit of revenge after the last game at our arena. And obviously we've all seen the video of how much it meant to Sheffield when they beat us in that Challenge Cup semi-final.
Yeah, so, didn't do much good in the final, though, did it?
Well, no, not at all. But I just think there's an awful lot of backstory to this game. There's an awful lot of interesting details, and I think it'll be a really fired up affair. Obviously, it's sold out, and I believe there's going to be some sort of webcast, going on, which will be nice and fun, I'm sure, for all involved. And obviously, it's good for the club, and I hope that ultimately it will carry on into the future for the next season. But I think the game on Friday will be huge. I personally think Panthers will win. Whether that's a bit of bias and blind optimism because I'm a fan or not, I don't know. But I just have a feeling that we're going to go all out on Friday. I think there's an awful lot riding on it for us. Obviously, there's a bigger prize riding on it for Sheffield, but I just think we've got a lot riding on it ourselves. We've got a bit of a point to prove. We want to keep the momentum going for the playoffs. And I just got a feeling that we'll do it. I think it'll be close, but ultimately I think we will probably get the win. And obviously with that in mind, and obviously I feel that Braid will get 4 points this weekend, that'll mean Sheffield can't win the league. Because if they beat Cardiff on Saturday, they'd only end up with 72 points. But with that in mind, if we do, I really think Cardiff will give it a real good go on Saturday. Because I think ultimately, out of the two, out of Sheffield and Cardiff, I think they've probably got the easier sort of way that the fixtures work. Obviously, Sheffield will have should have a really tough game on the Friday against us away, whereas Cardiff's away game will be the first game of the weekend against Sheffield. They'll know a lot more about their destiny, and I think it'll favour them more. Obviously, we don't have a great record in Cardiff, so they will certainly fancy their chances of beating us on home ice. So I think out of the two, I would rather be a Cardiff fan, but ultimately, I still believe that I would, if I was having a bet, I'd put a bit of money on Braid.
Aaron, Panthers have the chance of being the real kingmakers in this whole title race, playing Sheffield on Friday and then of course Cardiff again on Sunday. So Panthers have chance to be real heartbreakers in this, don't they?
They certainly do, yeah. Facing two of the three teams that are chasing the title. We've really got a chance to make a choice of where the league title goes. or at least have an effect on that. But I'm kind of with Andy. I think Friday night's game, I think that's the real test for Sheffield, because win on Friday, and they know that a victory on Saturday and it's theirs. Lose on Friday and it's pretty much dream over in my eyes. From a Panthers point of view, I actually think we will win the game. I think we are going to break the hearts of the Steelers. I just think coming off the weekend that we've had, just approaching playoffs, the chance to get the EIHL conference, the revenge that Andy was talking about from the previous game that we had against Sheffield in our arena, I just think it's really set up for a Panthers victory. I really do.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. And again, I think that may be some, like Andy, I think that's probably my bias coming through, and the fact that I really, really don't want Sheffield to win the league. Brayhead, Cardiff, either of them, I don't care, but Sheffield, I really just do not want to win anything at all, ever. I don't even want them to win a game, frankly. Yeah, I just don't like them at all. End of story.
Sorry, Jono, but there's a lot of pressure on Sheffield. Do we have the pressure? I don't know whether we've got much pressure on Friday. That we've still got another game to go to collect the point for the conference. Who's the bigger pressure? Who's under the biggest pressure? You'd have to say Sheffield, surely, because of the weight of that clash on the Saturday. Is their mind going to be 100% focused on Friday night? I'm not 100% sure that it will be, to be honest, because I think in the back of their minds they'll be thinking about, if we win this, then Saturday is bigger. Whatever you say, they're 2 games away from winning the league title. Well, I don't think they'll be fully focused 100%. They might be 90% focused, but I do not think they'll be 100% focused on Friday night. And I think the pressure is on Sheffield. I don't think the pressure's on us.
I agree with you that the pressure is on Sheffield, absolutely, but I disagree that they won't be 100% focused, because they know they win these 2 games, they're the champions. That's it. They win on Friday, they win on Saturday, they're winning the league title. So I think they will come into the NIC fully focused. However, I do think, like you say, that the pressure is certainly on them more to get the result. So will that lead to mistakes? Will that lead to turnovers? Will that lead to Cullen Eddy's name changing to the right way round? Who knows? We will find out on Friday evening. Of course, something else that was announced this week is that the Panthers will be, for the first time, offering a webcast for this game. It will be costing £10, and I believe it's being done by the same company that does the Sheffield and Belfast webcasts. So you would think that there would be no problems really with the quality, because both the Sheffield and Belfast webcasts have been excellent. So, guys, just a quick opinion from you both. Andy, I mean, do you think a good move having a webcast?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be very good. Obviously, I'd be interested to see who's actually involved in it, to see how good it is. It's a bit of a shame that they're webcasting my home games, because obviously I'll be there, so I'll get to see it very often. But yeah, absolutely, it's a great move by Panthers. I mean, the amount of, obviously, going on to a slightly personal standpoint, the amount of followers that MB Hockey Live have of friends and family of the players that are back home, whether it be in America or Canada or even in Europe sometimes, they all keep track and have a look and find out what's going on. So it gives them the option to watch their friends and family play hockey as well in what is a big game for us this coming time. And obviously, with it selling out, it gives more fans a chance to get it and watch it. Both obviously Nottingham and Sheffield fans, the away fans, because I imagine there'll be a fair few buying it up the M1.
Yeah, I think there'll be a fair few buying it from Glasgow and Cardiff as well, to be honest.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Aaron, I mean, we've talked many times on the podcast about Panthers doing a webcast, and finally it's here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I think it's the perfect match. As we've just talked about the league title, there's so much riding on this one game, and like you just said, Jono, I think there's going to be fans from Cardiff. There's going to be fans from Braehead as well. So if you ever wanted to do a webcast, then really, Friday night is your night. I think, like you said, the people that are involved in it, they know what they're doing because they run webcasts in this league that are of a high standard. So I think that's guaranteed. I just think it's going to be really interesting. I think it's a good move. I think, or I would say that, from a Panthers point of view, we hope that many people buy it as well. So I think, fingers crossed, it should be a success. And I suppose after Friday night, everybody will be asking the question, is it a one-off, or would we possibly maybe see this again next season? That's something that we'll have to wait and see. But I think it's a positive move, 100%. Yeah, very positive.
Okay, just to round this segment off, so a webcast. Both of you, is it something you would like to see for next season for every game? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah, I think we need to be where other clubs are, and if the league is of that opinion that webcasts are something that are beneficial, then I don't think that the Panthers should be one of the teams that are lagging behind in that aspect.
We're going to move on to answering some of your CWTV questions. Thanks very much once again for sending them in. If you do want to send us a question, please use our Twitter handle, which is @CatsWhiskersTV, and use the hashtag AskCWTV. So, first question comes from James Davis, who is a Sheffield fan. He says, will Panthers go all out to win against Sheffield on Friday, or will they save themselves for the playoffs? Andy, you start with that one.
I think they will have to go all out. At the end of the day, as much as it's a cliche, they can't look past the Sheffield game. They're playing in front of a sold-out crowd. They're trialling a brand new webcast for people to buy. There's a bit of revenge that we've talked about, and obviously we went a bit more in depth earlier on. But realistically, there's an awful lot on the line for Panthers as much as there is for Sheffield, and obviously with the point being needed to win the conference to get these so-called easier playoff games, I think they'll have to go all out against Sheffield to save themselves for the playoffs, if that makes sense. With the whole way that the league structures itself regarding the seedings, so yeah, I fully expect Panthers to go all out on Friday.
Aaron?
100%. I mean, why would we have just gone and slogged our guts out in Belfast to get the 4 points to then come home in front of our own fans and take it easy against our arch rivals? You can say, well, building up for the playoffs, but it's all about momentum at the end of the day. One loss can ruin confidence, can put people at unease. We've got ourselves on a nice little run now, and it's all about carrying that through to playoffs. So no letting up for me, none whatsoever.
Okay. Next question comes from Panthers Banter. He says, right, it's a two-part question, so we'll go with part one first. So, who would winning the league mean most to out of Cardiff, Sheffield, or Braehead? Andy, you start with that one.
Well, it's a very tough one because it's how do you judge it? I think probably Cardiff, based on the fact that it's they've been there or thereabouts a few times now. Obviously, in cup finals as well. Obviously, barring this year, they've sort of been perennial bridesmaids for quite a while. So it would be nice. I think they would feel an awful lot of relief and obviously pride of winning the league if they got it. But by the same token, obviously Braehead as well. But being one of the so-called weaker conference teams, being the first Scottish team to do it for so long and everything like that, and their rise from being founded to where they are now, it would mean a great deal to them. But by the same token, it wouldn't mean any less for Sheffield fans and Sheffield players if they won it. Obviously, their backstory with the brave Amy Usher and everything like that. It's gonna, whoever wins it, it's gonna mean the world to, and rightly so.
Just to echo really what Andy's just said there, I think it would mean a hell of a lot to all three of them. I would just sort of add to why it would mean everything to them. Cardiff, look where they were last year. They've already won the Challenge Cup, win the league. It then gives them a great opportunity of picking up the Grand Slam. Braehead, like Andy says, the first Scottish team to win it. Look where look how long they've been in the league. I think it'd be fantastic. They'd absolutely love that. Sheffield, they haven't won the league for a while, and wouldn't they love to be the last team out of us and them to have won the league, to shove it up our backsides, to say so. I think it's very hard to say which one would it mean, the most to. I think they all have reasons and sort of goals as to why they would want to win it. So it's very, very tough to decide between all three of them, really.
I think for me, I'd have to say, out of the three, Cardiff, and simply because of the position they was in last season, they were probably quite close to going out of business at some point, to be honest. And the way that they've just risen like a phoenix from the flames has just been a phenomenal story, an absolute phenomenal story. And I think for them to then take the league title will be nothing short of miraculous.
You just made me think of something though, actually, because if I had to pick one, I'd say Braehead, because Sheffield and Cardiff are going to be there again next year. They are long-term league title challengers. Braehead, in the current system of the conferences, you would automatically say that if they should be there next season, challenging. But if the league format was to change, or the conference format was to change, then would Braehead have a better opportunity than what they've got now? So would it mean everything to them to win it this time? Because then they can always say, well, we've won it, because you just don't know what's going to happen in the future. But you would bet some money on Sheffield and Cardiff challenging again next year. But would Braehead be in the same strong position as what they are this year in coming years?
I think the worry that the league has as well is they can't just knee-jerk if Braehead win the league.
Totally, of course, yeah.
If Braehead win the league this year and they get rid of a conference system, it would be an absolute farce. They've bought this conference system in to try and give these other teams, this type of chance, and it's worked. It's made the league better, in my opinion, in the 3 years that it's been going. It's made the leagues closer. Yes, there's the whole playing the same teams over and over again thing, but to be honest, I think that falls in line with the cups more than anything. When you practically play in your conference in the cups as well. But I just think that there's an awful lot of politics involved in the league, and they've got to be very careful about making snap decisions based on who wins what.
Well, I tell you what, not to sidetrack from where we're going, but at the end of the day, look at us, look at the Panthers, right? We're 6 points off the top, 3 wins, and if you look at our league form, we had a very poor February, and we've not performed as well as you would expect us to do against the other conference, the Gardner Conference. So if those two things wouldn't have happened and we'd got 3 points, or you'd like to think 3 wins, you'd like to think we would have picked out more than 6 points if February wasn't as poor results wise as it was, and we hadn't have lost as many games in the Gardner Conference as what we have. Then Braehead might not have even been in with an opportunity. So the whole, if they win it, it's because of the conference thing, wouldn't have even been talked about. and that's just looking at it from a Panthers point of view. You know, we have been very close to being up there and challenging, or even ahead, if you look at our league form.
The second part of his question, because there was a second part to it, and I know both of you, when we discussed this before we started recording, interpret this differently. So I'll ask you both. So Andy, I'll come to you first. Do you think Cardiff and Clan expected to be this close?
To be brutally honest, I can't remember which way around I was supposed to have interpreted it since we discussed it.
Well, do you want me to go first, and then you can say the opposite?
If you can remember, Aaron, that'd be great.
I can.
Aaron, there you go, mate.
Ask the question again, Jono.
Do you think Cardiff and Clan expected it to be this close?
I looked at it upon the fact that Cardiff, after last season's turmoil, they wouldn't have really, at the start of the season, would they have said that they'd be going into the final weekend with a chance of winning the league? I don't think they would have. You know, look, a lot of people, including myself, said halfway through the season that they would fade away, that this wasn't the season that they would be potential league winners. So I don't think they would have expected to be this close to winning the league. Braehead, again, you look at your Sheffields, you look at your Nottinghams, you look at your Belfast, you expect them to be, you know, at the start of the season you would say that they are the teams that we are going to have to beat to win the league. So I'm not sure they would have been 100% going for the league title. Well, they would have been going, obviously, but to expect to be going in again the final weekend with it being close to winning it, then I don't think they would have been looking at it like that. That's how I took it, in the fact of close to winning the league, not close as in points wise with other teams.
Yeah, I remember my point now. Yeah, I mean, the way I interpreted it was the fact that you know, did Cardiff expect to have put up quite the run to get back up there towards the top of the league? But by the same token, did Braehead expect other teams to have chased them quite so hard? Obviously, a lot's been said regarding the conference system, and you know, as great as it works, and that people seem to have the general opinion that Braehead should perhaps be able to pick up more points in the last couple of months when they were playing more games against their own conference, whereas Cardiff, Nottingham, Belfast and Sheffield would be picking up points against each other. So I think realistically, a month ago, Braehead would have liked to have said that this time now they would have already wrapped it up. So I don't think they would have expected it to be this close. By the same token, though, I think Cardiff and Sheffield have done an exemplary job of picking up wins in ways that, you know, they needed to get the points on the board to keep pushing this title race, and to push on something Aaron said earlier on. You know, if we end up losing this league title by 6 points, you know, yes, we might finish fourth, but you know, we've come close, despite the fact that, you know, in a lot of people's opinion, this season's been terrible. And, you know, we've had what can literally only be described as a real meltdown and crisis in the month of February. You know, we're not that far off, and it's a testament to how close and how tight this league has been.
Final question, and that comes from David Carnell, and he says, how many teams do you think will have a new coach come the summer? He's going to go with 3. So, you know, it's a tricky question because you've got to sort of get your crystal ball out a bit. And I think we can safely say that we know one team will probably be changing coaching, that I would think Chuck Webber will be leaving Coventry. But after that, you know, it's pure speculation onto what's going to happen. So, Aaron, what's your take on that question?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And it's like you say, get your crystal ball out. But yeah, I think if you're led to believe, as the press release when Chuck Webber came to this league, that he would only be here for this season. So I'd be pretty certain that he won't be Coventry's head coach next season. So that's one. I think you could potentially 3 or 4 would be my guess.
I reckon 4 or 5.
Are you willing to put your necks on the line and say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we're going on the basis that Chuck Webber will be leaving, that's 1. I think Edinburgh. I think Dundee. I kind of think Belfast, but it could go one of 2 ways. I don't think Steve Thornton will be doing the GM and the coach role next year, but I do think he'll be involved one way or the other. Whether that means he goes behind the bench and gets somebody in to do that job that Todd Kelman did, or whether he does the job that Todd Kelman did and may get another one in. And the 5th one is probably Corey, and I don't know whether that's going to be a club decision or a personal decision.
Aaron, you got any different to that?
I think it will be 3 from the Earhart Conference and 1 from the Gardner Conference.
Any extension on that?
Make up what you will from that.
Well, that to me says that Cardiff won't be changing Aaron Lord. I say that every week. Andrew Lord.
It's amazing how he managed to do a podcast at the same time as he's playing. Those helmet microphones work wonders.
And I can't see Sheffield getting rid of Gerard Adams. Even if they don't win anything this year, the fact that they've got so close. They've been to a final. Realistically, whatever happens this weekend, they're going to be 2nd in the league or 3rd, and end up losing it by a point or 2. And then obviously there's a playoffs as well to play for. So that to me, Aaron, says that you think that Belfast, Nottingham and Coventry will be making changes.
I don't think Edinburgh will change, because I think Hartman's been there for, 3-4 seasons now. I can't see them changing, to be honest, if Hartman wants to stay there. I think Dundee is a possibility with Hutchins. I can't see Finity leaving Braehead. Can't see DTN leaving Fife. Who's that leave?
Hull. Pasha.
No, I think Pasha's done a fantastic job at Hull with the budget he's had. So I can't see them changing. So I think that's probably 1. I think Dundee is probably the most likely out of that conference, out of the Erdart. Adams, no, can't see him going anywhere. I think Belfast, Thornton will become GM, taking on the Todd Kelman role, and I think they may have a player coach rather than an actual bench coach. Is my prediction for that one. Corey, I don't know. I really couldn't say either way. I could make a case for him staying. I could make a case for him leaving. However, I think if Corey does leave, I think it will be a personal decision over a club decision. Webber, we think he's leaving, and Cardiff, after the season they've had, I can't see Aaron Lord. I've done it now. I've done it. I can't see Andrew Lord going anywhere. Oh, dearie me. So yeah, I will go for 4 as well. So after that rather convoluted answer and getting the Cardiff coach wrong several times, I think we'll leave it there for Ask CWTV. So thanks very much once again for sending your questions in. Again, if you would like to send one in, just send it to our Twitter, Ask CWTV. We're going to finish this week's podcast by having a look at the initial 31-man squad that was chosen by Great Britain head coach Peter Russell last week. We've had a look at the squad, gents, and a pretty new look to the Team GB this season by all accounts.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's exciting as well for me. There's an awful lot of youth in there. Obviously, there is still quite a substantial amount of experience. But it's really exciting to see where Pete Russell's taking this team. You look at some of the guys that I imagine there's a fair few fans have probably never heard of, because they're not playing in this country. But it's great to see that they're going for this young, dynamic squad. And whether they actually make the final squad or not remains to be seen. But obviously, giving them the chance to prove that they should be there is only good for GB.
Russell promoted to head coach from under-20 head coach, and of course there's quite a few under-20 players that have been included in the squad. So Josh Batch from Cardiff, James Griffin from Coventry, Matt Haywood, Tom Murdy, our very own Sam Oakford, and of course Jack Prince, Joey Lewis and Liam Stewart have all previously played for the under-20s, but as you said, Andy, not probably too well known within this country. So Aaron, it seems to be a move towards a more youthful look in the squad.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much what a lot of people expected when the announcement of Peter Russell as head coach, because it's a new direction that GB are going in. And hey, look, these youngsters did very well for Pete Russell in the under-20s, some of them. And I just think, look, we've had certain players that have been in GB for many years now, like Jonathan Phillips, like David Clark. I know he's injured, but even people like Robert Dowd, people like that. You can say Jason Hewitt and Mark Thomas, who haven't made the squad, but I think now we've seen that these youngsters who some are getting experience in the elite leagues, some are getting experience in other leagues across Europe and beyond. And I think if you're a GB fan or anybody sort of involved in hockey or a fan of hockey, I think a lot of people accept that now it feels right. It feels right that these youngsters should be getting their opportunity, and I think it's good that there's still experienced players in there as well, and I think it's a really good mix of experience and youth. Obviously, some players are going to have to miss out because there's still 8 players to be cut for the final 23, so it'll be interesting to see whether these youngsters make the final 23 as it is. But I just think already it's a very positive sign, and we've been given a clear indication of Russell's ideas and where he wants to take this GB squad, and that'll be further enhanced, like I say, when it is actually cut down to the final 23.
Andy, as Aaron says, a lot of youth, but some experience in there, and you've got the likes of Russell Cowley from the Blaze, Ashley Tate from Coventry Blaze, and of course Jonathan Weaver, who we know very well, who's had an outstanding season at the Telford Tigers. Also within the squad is making a return is Stevie Lyle. Who I think will be going through as the third netminder, and is something we talked about.
Yeah, preempted right here.
It's important to have that experience there as well to sort of guide the younger lads, some of whom will be, of course, taking part in their first senior tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And to touch on what something Aaron said earlier on, there's been players like Robert Dowd, Peacock. To be fair, Robert Lakovic and players like that who are still really, really young, but they've been there and done it already. So there is still quite a lot of experience despite the youth. But obviously, having these older, wiser heads like your Weavers and your Stephen Murphys, Stevie Lyles, having those type of guys there will only help the younger guys learn and know what to expect from these type of things, and that's why I think that we'll actually, when the 8 get cut, I actually think we'll see quite a considerable amount of the younger players still in the squad, because I think that the balance is just about perfect, that they will be able to perform because they will have those wiser heads around them to help them through those stages.
As well as Sam Oakford in the team, who of course have places for Steve Lee, Rob Lakovic, and of course Robert Farmer, who's had an outstanding season. And also in the squad, who also made the initial squad last season as well, is Jonathan Boxall, which is more than reward for the season that he's had.
100%. I mean, you're talking about the real British Bulldog there, who's just has been even better this season than what he was last season, and like you said, he made the 31-man squad last year, but was sadly just missed out, unfortunately, on the final cut. But he's played a big part in the Panthers season this year, and I would like to think that he'll actually make the final 23 this time around. So he'll definitely be looking for that anyway. We know that.
Well, if you want to see Team Great Britain play before they go to Eindhoven for the Division 1B World Championships from the 13th and 19th of April, they will be playing at the NIC against Poland in a challenge match on Thursday the 9th of April, and then at the Coventry Sky Dome on Friday the 10th of April. So good seats still available, I am led to believe. Okay, gents, anything else that you would like to add before we wrap it up for this week?
No, not really. It's just coming down to the end now, isn't it?
Yeah, down to the wire. Not many shows left. So probably
it's crazy. It's crazy how quickly it goes.
But I know three shows are left, I reckon. So yeah, just 3 shows left. Incredible how quick it all goes. Andy, anything from you?
No.
Well, there you go then.
There you go. Well,
absolutely.
Well, that's it. Goodbye. Right. As always, thank you very much for joining us and listening this week. We will be back, of course, next week when we will know who the Elite League champions are for the 2014-15 season. But until next week, on behalf of Aaron and Andy, thank you very much and goodbye.